Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. BiteSquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Turn this thing up. Let's do this.
You're listening to Steven Strom on TalkNorth.com.
Wow. What a sports week we had this week. Stanley Cup and the finals last night. Steven Strom here at TalkNorth.com. Welcome in here, episode 51. Shout out to my producer, Brandon Morton, my video editor, Matt Augustin. If you want to advertise with us, visit TalkNorth.com and talk to Jim Suhan. All right, look, we've got a ton to get into today. I want to first give you a little stuff about the finals, my thoughts, and then I'm going to get into the Twins. And as the Twins keep rolling, they do keep rolling at 45 wins here, recording on a Friday, but the bullpen is becoming problematic. I'm happy we're seeing it now, because once we get to October and say the bullpen was overachieving and this happened, then you thought, okay, what can we do? But now we know that the Twins have a bullpen problem. They have to go out and they have to do something to either get a Sean Doolittle, to get somebody into this bullpen just to fortify that. Okay, the finals. I found myself for the first time cheering for Golden State just because I wanted to see a Game 7. You didn't want it to end. Every game was close. But here's my takeaway from it. Number one is this needs to be more about Toronto. I understand the injuries to the Golden State were big. I understand that Clay leaving that third quarter was huge, especially because he had 30 and he was hot. I understand that Durant not playing in the series was a huge effect. But this is what happens during the playoffs. This is what happens to teams. I mean, we look back at the Warriors. They didn't get to face Kawhi Leonard after Game 1 because he stepped on Zaza Pachulia's ankle. You saw what happened to Chris Paul in the Western Conference Finals last year. They played a Rockets team without Chris Paul. And you saw a couple years ago when they won the finals. No Kyrie, no Kevin Love. Injuries are part of the game. You're going to have to respond. And for Toronto to really, in all honesty, they should have won in 5 games. They're up 6 with 1:30 left in Game 5. They should not have lost that game. This is a series where Toronto easily could have wrapped this up 4-1. This is about the Raptors. This is about their team, their togetherness, their cohesiveness, their culture. And it has shown that talent doesn't always win you championships. And this was a perfect scenario. From Kawhi Leonard to Van Fleet to Danny Green to Siakam to Gasol to Nick Nurse. They absolutely played a perfect series, and not a lot of guys gave them a chance in this series, but they came out and they showed that their togetherness, their cohesiveness, and their ability to play with each other and to play with that chip on their shoulder. And I always talk about having a championship identity. A lot of teams that win championships have a calling card, have for example, the Warriors. It's always been strength in numbers. Their bench has always been a big part of their success, and they didn't get that in this series. You know, what I saw, what the Warriors did to teams the last few years was they wore you down. They gave you, Clay, Steph, Draymond, and then when they went to the bench, then they came back with another round of Livingston, with Maurice Spates, with Iguodala. Like, they really wore teams out. I thought Toronto did to the Warriors what the Warriors were doing for years. But just the way Toronto has handled this series, they played with a chip on their shoulder. And you look up and down their roster, it's a bunch of guys that not a lot of teams, they really wanted. I mean, you look at Kawhi Leonard. He's a 15th overall pick drafted by the Pacers. He was traded away. You look at Fred VanVleet. This guy was undrafted. He played in the D-League. He won a championship. He was the last guy on a 15-man roster for the Raptors. He comes in. What did he have, 12 points in the fourth quarter? Something along the lines of that. I mean, he completely took over the last quarter of this game. You look at a guy like Pascal Siakam. He could not see the court last year. What's his last name? OG Umbiambi, whatever his name is. He couldn't get on the floor. Pascal Siakam now is in the running for most improved player this year alongside with D'Angelo Russell. this is a team, I don't want to call them misfits. I don't want to compare them to like the Vegas Golden Knights, but this is a team that before Kawhi Leonard came, they were labeled as chokers. They were labeled they can't get past the Cavs. They can't get past these big games. You look at Kyle Lowry, another guy that so many people criticize. I mean, he played phenomenal last night, 26 points. I mean, he carried them in the first quarter. Just to review, man, you got to give the Raptors a ton of credit. This is about them, and I'm going to refuse to make it about the Warriors. I don't want to hear that they got injured. I don't want to hear all these things. Toronto was the better team. They were better coached in this series. They were more prepared. They executed better, even though at the end of the game, and I'll tell you one thing, Danny Green is the luckiest man in sports. I don't know what the hell he was doing. You are a veteran, okay? You are a prime finals guy. You get trapped in that scenario. He is so lucky that Steph Curry missed that three, because if he hits that the first thing we're thinking is, what is Danny Green doing throwing that ball away? He's lucky he got away with that. But Nick Nurse, I mean, the whole team is just, it's a bunch of scrappy players, guys that weren't handed anything. They all had to earn what they have, and I think that helps them at a chemistry standpoint. You know, Nick Nurse, he was G League Coach of the Year. Now in his rookie year, I think he's one of 5 coaches now to win a championship as a rookie coach. It was Steve Kerr, Ty Lue, Paul Westhead, and Pat Riley. And he's now one of 5. So, Nick Nurse is another guy that had to work his way up. Serge Ibaka, late round pick. It's just, it's a tremendous story. And once again, it's proved that your chemistry, your execution, your culture, that can beat a dynasty in the Warriors. So that's number 1. Number 2 here is Steph Curry's legacy. And I've been a big Steph Curry guy. He is the best shooter in the game ever. Okay, I don't even think it's close anymore. But you can't ignore the fact that in these big spots, he is now 0 for 9 when it comes to making baskets. I think he's 0 for 9 under the last 2 minutes in the playoffs. And that is not a good stat to have. He was a defensive liability last night. I mean, I'm watching this game last night. He's covering Fred VanVleet, and he's calling for a switch. He's like, I want Danny Green. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, I know Fred VanVleet was hot, but you can't run away from a guy like him when you're Steph Curry. His defense was suspect this whole series, and this whole narrative, I'm starting to believe a little that, when things are going great, Steph is awesome. Like, Steph is great. But when it comes to when they need a guy to make a big shot, who are you going to? I mean, in my opinion, I think I'm going to Klay. I mean, we've seen time and time again that Klay Thompson, huge shots in Game 5. And I'm not taking away the 47 points that Steph Curry had in Game 4. He played tremendously, but they didn't win. His legacy is kind of up in the air right now for me, because you look at his championships and you say, okay, well, he beat the Cavs without Kyrie and Kevin Love. His other 2 wins were with Kevin Durant, and Durant won Finals MVP. Where does he fit here in this mold? How important is Steph to the Warriors? I always give KD crap about, they don't need him. Now, do I think that the Warriors need Steph Curry? Of course I do. But last night was a perfect opportunity for him to create an even bigger legacy for himself, and he didn't. I mean, he had a really good look over Gasol. It was a perfect play call. Steve Kerr lined up Draymond on the opposite end of the floor. They inbounded it. They give him a double screen. And, Curry came off and got a pretty decent look. But Steph Curry's legacy, where does it go from here? Because this next year is huge for him. You got to assume that Klay's going to be out almost the entire year, unless he's Adrian Peterson, which he's not. 2012, Adrian Peterson came back from ACL tear in 8 months. Klay Thompson, it's going to be for the majority of this season. And Kevin Durant's going to be out even if he does stay with Golden State. So it's going to be a huge year. What is Curry going to be able to do next year? And I think the craziest part about all this is that the Warriors are still favorites. Came out today. The Warriors are still favorites to win the NBA Finals next year. I think, I'll be honest with you, wherever Kawhi Leonard goes, that is my finals pick. I think it was the Warriors and it was the Lakers, which already tells me that they're going to get Davis. And then I think it was the Raptors were 5, and then it was the Bucks, Celtics, Rockets, and then I think it was like a tie for fifth with the Raptors and Celtics. But overall, man, unbelievable NBA playoffs. I can't give it enough credit because I've been the biggest hater of the NBA. I thought they were screwed when LeBron didn't make the playoffs. I thought they were in a boatload of trouble. But they really showed that they can do it without LeBron. I think it's a great sign. As he enters year 18, you've got to assume that he's only got a couple more years left. The NBA is going to be just fine, man. And this was an unbelievable series. Shout out to the Toronto Raptors. They did it right. I don't think Kawhi is going to stay. I think at this point, there's really, what more can you do? It is so hard. Like, there are few players in sports that can just go to a team for 1 year and get a championship. And to win a championship for a city like Toronto, a team that couldn't get past LeBron James in the Eastern Conference. Shout out to Toronto. Unbelievable playoffs. We will get into a bunch of stuff here. We've got Negative Dave coming on. He'll talk about the Twins. He's a little angry. He was a little feisty with me this morning talking about the Twins. You know, he's very worried about the bullpen. So he'll give his thoughts on that. We've got some Viking things to get into as we start to enter here. We're going to start to get a look at Kirky and the boys and Dalvin and see how they respond here as they head to training camp I think it's next month. So we'll get into a little about the Vikings, all that good stuff, and talk a little bit about the U.S. Open here on the Strom Sports Show. And as promised, we are joined here by the great Negative Dave as he is soaking up the sun in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know what part of Arizona. I just assumed it's Phoenix, Arizona, because that's the only place I really know in Arizona. But Dave, how are you today? How hot is it over there? What's the weather like?
We're looking at about a 101 to 103 today, but it's a dry heat, as you know, Steven. So the weather's a little bit better than the big night they have back in the Twin Cities. Joe Mauer's retirement for his number.
That's the first thing let's get into here. So, Dave, let me hear your thoughts here on Joe Mauer night against the Kansas City Royals.
Well, I did what I could to get back into town. It just didn't work out with my busy schedule. I really wanted to be there. I'm his biggest fan.
Yep.
I will be trying to watch on TV. I'm hoping that FSN, my second favorite thing in the world, will be broadcasting it live tonight so I can watch it here on DirecTV. If not, I'm going to be pretty bummed out because I have to see it, as you know. I just have to see it.
We know you're such a big Joe Mauer fan, so it's a big night for Dave as they honor Joe Mauer. And Jake Odorizzi, the Cy Young Award winner, if it ended today, and I know it's only been a few months, but Jake Odorizzi leads the league in ERA. He's 9-2. He's been an absolute dominant force as he takes the mound tonight. We're recording this on a Saturday. All right, we talked about the Twins last week. Just seems like they just win 2 out of 3 almost every series. They sit 46-22, 11 games up in the AL Central. Give me some. Let's do some positive stuff first, and then we'll get to your negative stuff. What have you seen here that you've really that stuck out to you this last week? Guys that are hitting. Give me your thoughts.
It doesn't matter who they put in the lineup, I guess. Everyone every night someone steps up different. Last night it was Garver, right?
Right.
Tonight, it's the pitching is. Odorizzi's really quite shocking. Let me ask you this. Does he make the All-Star game right now?
Oh, easily. Yeah, he's definitely an All-Star.
With all the big-time pitchers, the flamethrowers. As of today, it'd be Verlander probably starting, right?
Yeah, it would probably be Verlander. Odorizzi would definitely make the All-Star game. Sale has been definitely he's underachieved this year tremendously. Just looking at some of these guys, Charlie Morton's been great for the Rays. This kid Mike Minor from the Rangers have been good, but Odorizzi leads the AL in ERA and is second, I think, in wins with 9. I know that Lucas Giolito from the White Sox has 10 wins, but yeah, I would say this guy is he's locked in. He'll probably lose tonight because it's we're jinxing him probably, but yes, I think Odorizzi for sure.
Agree. I guess, it just seems like it does, every night it's somebody else, getting the big hit. Buxton had that big homer, but of course the bullpen blew it.